Hey, everybody. Welcome to a right angle lightning round brought to you by the members of BillWhittle.com. I'm Steve Green with Bill Whittle and Scott Ott. Of course, if you're not familiar with the lightning round, instead of going deep into one topic, I collect headlines all week long. Scott and Bill have no idea what they are. And then we get their very hottest takes on those great big stories, which are not always great big, and sometimes they're barely even stories. So let's dig in, shall we? We are starting with Scott this week. Oh, man, this headline actually kind of pissed me off. A man in Wales arrested, claims he was strip searched for going for a walk too far from home. Story says Mr. Raddick, no first name given, was told he had violated coronavirus regulations and was handcuffed before being subjected to a search without consent. Scott, Britain was the birthplace of English liberty that got enshrined in our Constitution, led to the huge philosophical revolution that all men are created equal and endowed with these inalienable rights. Whew. Whatever happened to the mother country, my friend?
First of all, we can't, blame the Welsh for the acts of the British or vice versa. But it's all kind of part of the same thing. Strip searching is what confuses me. Did they think he had a weapon on him or something like that? Like I would
Maybe
think
they were looking for the virus.
I would think, if you were concerned about somebody, perambulating about spreading some sort of virus, I would think the minimum skin contact possible would be your goal. I mean, I don't want keep your clothes on, brother. In fact, here let's saran wrap you and send you home. I don't need to see. So it seems to me, and I'm just going to hazard a guess that there is more to this story than what we are hearing. And I've been involved in enough encounters where I've seen something happen in person and then later heard the account of it to be suspicious anytime somebody tells me that people did some really bizarre thing in reaction to his sort of bland behavior where he was just minding his own business. So I'm going to guess there was more to it than him just walking far away from home and violating those rules. I think that a lot of the rules, as we've talked about in the past, in a lot of jurisdictions, go beyond common sense and assume no common sense on the part of the public. Some people in the public have gone out of their way to justify our belief that there's no common sense on the part of the public. But most people make decent choices and are gracious and try to protect their health of themselves and their family and others. So I would be interested, but not enough to actually do any research to find out more about this.
You reminded me of one of my favorite photos of my 10-year-old that occurred to me a couple of weeks ago when they started talking about double masking or even triple masking. I was out with my kids and we had to pick up some emergency masks at a hardware store because we'd forgotten to bring any. So just get some cheap cotton things that probably do no good whatsoever so far as I know. But I turned back and my 10-year-old has gotten a hold of the box, and he's got to be wearing 4 or 5 masks, and they're covering absolutely every part of his head except for his eyes, nose, and mouth. I love that kid.
I said early on in the pandemic, after we went back to work and I was working in this retail store, I was like, if you thought this job was hard before, now try to do it for 8 hours while somebody's trying to suffocate you with a sock.
So, it's awful.
Yeah, it's like a scene out of a gangster movie. Bill, AOC, you remember our friend Alexandria from Brooklyn?
Yes.
Yeah.
How's she been?
Oh, well, she's insane. You knew that.
You can notice I'm still in my chair.
Here's fresh evidence that will keep you completely glued to your chair. AOC slams New York Police Department's $75,000 robotic police dog named Digidog, kind of cute, as racist. You knew that was coming, didn't you? Saying it prowls the streets only in low-income communities of color. Have we just run out of things to be racist about?
Well, I can assure you that if we run out of actual racism, some synthetic racism will be coming online soon but not through fracking, because that's bad. I don't know, Steve. I don't know what to say. every time I hear another story about a robotic police dog running through the neighborhood, I just want to say, God, this again. Are we ever going to get over these stories of robotic police dogs roaming the streets of major cities in areas that perhaps you should not be using robotic police dogs for? And is it racist or not? We've been hearing this for, literally minutes now. I don't know if the police dog is racist. I do know that a robotic animatronic congresswoman would probably get the answers correct more often than here's what it is, Steve. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez does not pass the Turing test. That's what I'm utterly convinced of, and that to me is the actual breakthrough here. And I'll let you explain the Turing test for those few people who may have had to go to public school recently.
Alan Turing, a British scientist, devised what he called the Turing test, which was a test for artificial intelligence. If you could have a conversation with it through, say, a telephone and not be aware that it was a computer instead of an actual human, then it had passed the Turing test. And I'll tell you right now, that robot dog is going to pass it before AOC does. Is that about right?
Yeah, woof. Yeah.
Did you just say woof?
I did.
That's what I thought you said. All right.
I meant to say something a little more digital. We'll fix it in post.
Yeah. All right. Scott, where are we? Oh, Geraldo Rivera said on Fox News Monday about New York Governor Andrew Cuomo, who's now had 3 credible allegations of sexual harassment against him. Geraldo said of Cuomo, he's a 63-year-old single guy living in Albany, the most boring town in America. He's all by himself. With Republicans like Geraldo on TV, do we really need Democrats on TV?
Well, first of all, thank goodness Geraldo Rivera is still alive. I was not aware of that. When you said that name, I was like, oh yeah, he did that expose on the mental institution in like 1971 or something. Has he done something since then?
When he dies, I hope they bury him in Al Capone's vault.
Well, there needs to be something in there. There might as well be Geraldo. So, yet I've been reading some of the coverage of this today's story, and we're recording this on Tuesday, the 2nd of March. It was the most recent person who's come out said that Governor Cuomo saw this young woman at a wedding that they were both attending. He had given a toast at the wedding, and she had said something to him about how she thought of his gracious words. She appreciated his gracious words. He reaches around and puts his hand on her bare back. She was wearing one of those cutaway dresses, and touches her bare back. He does not know this person. She removes his hand. This is according to her account. She removes his hand from her bare back, and then he says something about her being pretty aggressive. And he grabs her by the face, like he holds her cheeks in his hands. And there's photographic evidence of this. Her friend was standing by. You're like, oh, I'm going to take a picture of my friend talking to Andrew Cuomo. This is a big deal. And you see this picture of him holding this strange young woman's face in his hands. And I think we're going to see a lot more of this. And it's finally somebody broke through when that government official said, look, Andrew Cuomo was not being forthright with the people about the statistics involving people who had COVID-19 in the nursing homes. The dam started to break. Somebody came out and said, by the way, I had to pull my car, a state legislator said, I had to pull my car over to the side of the road while Andrew Cuomo exploded at me for 45 minutes over the phone. All of a sudden, we're starting to hear stories. Oh, well, everybody's known about Cuomo's fiery temper, and who hasn't had Andrew Cuomo shout at them? And now we're starting to see these accusations of people saying that he makes inappropriate sexual innuendo and asking questions of young women about whether they would date older men and all kinds of stuff that would, if that happened in your office, there would be a parade of security guards going to the HR office, and they'd be putting your stuff in a box and taking you to the parking garage. So before they press charges, I don't wish ill upon anyone, and I don't want to get out beyond the facts, but Andrew Cuomo's house of cards looks like it's about to collapse.
Yeah.
Can I just add something here?
Yeah.
Without taking away anything about what these women are claiming, I'm not not diminishing that in any way, but I do find it a sign of our times that this guy can basically send 12,000 people with COVID-19, 12,000 deaths, 12,000 dead people because he ordered COVID positive people back into nursing homes. That's no problem. But he held this woman by the face. And now we're talking about a serious removable offense. Again, that's not to dismiss what happened to this woman, but it does make you wonder kind of where the priorities are on our liberal overlords in terms of what they consider to be enough of a reason to actually start, reporting on stuff.
Well, so far there's been one Democratic state legislator, a woman whose name I cannot recall. I'd never heard of her before, but she on Twitter has already called for Cuomo to resign. Cuomo, to his credit, when he gave his non-apology apology, that part's not to his credit. He gave one of those, I did not intend to do anything like this, so if you think I intended to do that, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry if you felt that I intended something that I did not intend. That was
yes. If you were offended by me fondling you, I suppose then
But he did say,
I'm sorry that you got offended by me fondling.
He did authorize an investigation into it. So that's the to his credit part.
The guy if I remember correctly, the guy he hired for the investigation does this kind of thing for a living and gets it swept under the rug. So we'll see how that goes.
Joey Buttafuoco is doing the investigation.
If you want a visual, I saw the photo you were talking about where he's holding the young woman's face. I didn't get to read the story this morning. But if you want a visual, if you haven't seen the photo, folks, picture that scene out of Godfather 2 with Al Pacino and Fredo.
Fredo.
Yeah. And I know it was you, Fredo. You broke my heart. Except in this case, Governor, we know who Fredo is, don't we? Yeah. All right. Bill. Oh, dear God. I'd forgotten I selected this headline.
Oh, boy.
Communist China gave U.S. diplomats anal COVID tests in error, American officials say. What I want to know is, if Biden's diplomats won't say no to that, is there anything they won't agree to?
Yeah, don't you get diplomatic immunity from that?
Is that a true story?
That is a true story.
Yes. They gave him anal COVID tests without their permission.
In a bathhouse?
We're just doomed.
No, the bathhouse part is true.
Just get the beans and the ammo and start packing.
Right. Yeah, true story. China apologized, after they roughly rogered our diplomats.
As a gentleman would.
Do they leave $100 extra on the nightstand is what I want to know.
I don't know. I hope they gave him flowers.
I think I poked Bill.
Seriously, if you're a diplomat, who subjects themselves? Who allows that without going, no, I'm a diplomat?
What kind of human being, what kind of a human man would say, oh, well, I suppose if that's the custom here. Let me just say this, Steve. I'm reminded of a punchline from a Gilbert Gottfried joke, and the punchline is, something tells me you're not here for the hunting.
We just going to leave it at that then.
Yeah, I think we probably should.
All right, that's enough. Okay, I just came across this one earlier this morning. Cartoon Network's anti-racist public service announcement tells American kids to see color. Not the content of character, none of that stuff. According to the story, and I think this came from Daily Signal, the message came through a YouTube public service announcement aired by Cartoon Network, which features a white child, a black child, and a purple alien. Talk about your visuals being out of sync with the message. The visual is they're all just getting along. Two kids and an alien, and they're all different colors, and they're having fun together. That's great. That is a beautiful message. I got that message reading the Sneetches from Dr. Seuss. And by the way, cancel culture is coming for Dr. Seuss now, too. It's just absolutely insane. But I suppose if a robot dog can be racist, then everything is racist. And maybe if it's everything, then it's actually nothing. And maybe we can all just get along again. Sure would be nice. All right. Thanks for sticking through this lightning round. We'll see you next week.